When connecting a Honda EU2000 inverter generator to a house for backup power, you should use a double-pole double-throw, commonly called DPDT, safety switch. This switch allows you to safely switch between grid power and generator power. It is essential to turn off all two-pole breakers. This prevents electricity from backfeeding into the grid. You can leave two lighting circuits on to provide basic illumination during a power outage. Connect the power and neutral wires from the generator to the safety switch. It is important to not connect the ground wire from the generator because the generator is designed to operate as an isolated system, meaning it does not rely on a connection to ground for safety. Generator inverters, like the Honda EU2000, produce clean, stable electricity that is suitable for sensitive electronic devices. Consider these important safety considerations when working with generators. Firstly, always use the transfer switch, or DPDT safety switch, to prevent the generator from backfeeding into the grid, which can be dangerous for utility workers and can damage your generator. Secondly, ensure the generator is grounded to earth. This is not required for the generator to function, but it provides an added level of safety in case of an electrical fault. Thirdly, always follow all manufacturer's instructions carefully. Proper installation and operation are crucial for safety and performance. To elaborate further, let's consider the function of the double-pole double-throw switch. A double-pole double-throw switch is a 3-position switch. In the center position, it disconnects both power sources from the load. In one position, it connects the main grid power to the house. In the other position, it connects the generator power to the house. This prevents backfeeding, which is when the generator sends power back into the electrical grid. Backfeeding is dangerous for utility workers who may be working on the lines thinking they are de-energized and can also damage the generator. It is also important to understand the ground connection in this setup. The Honda EU2000 generator, like many portable generators, has a floating neutral. This means that the neutral wire is not connected to the frame of the generator or to ground. This is different from the electrical grid, where the neutral wire is bonded to ground at the service entrance. When connecting a generator with a floating neutral to a house, it is generally recommended to not connect the generator's ground wire to the house's grounding system. This is because connecting the ground wire can create a ground loop, which can cause nuisance stripping of circuit breakers and other electrical problems. However, it is still important to ensure that the generator itself is properly grounded. This can be done by connecting a grounding rod to the generator's grounding terminal. The grounding rod should be driven into the earth deep enough to provide a good connection to ground. The exact depth will vary depending on the soil conditions. The purpose of grounding the generator is to provide a path for fault current to flow back to the generator in the event of an electrical fault. This will help to trip the generator's circuit breaker and protect against electrical shock. Now let's talk about managing the electrical load when using a generator. The Honda EU2000 has a limited power output, so it's important to manage the electrical load to prevent overloading the generator. Overloading the generator can damage it and cause it to shut down. Before connecting the generator to the house, turn off all unnecessary electrical appliances and lights. Only turn on the essential circuits that you need to power, such as lighting and a refrigerator. Avoid using high-power appliances, such as air conditioners, electric heaters, and electric stoves, as these can quickly overload the generator. It is also important to be aware of the starting wattage of appliances. Some appliances, such as refrigerators and air conditioners, require a higher wattage to start than they do to run. This starting wattage can briefly exceed the generator's capacity and cause it to overload. To avoid overloading the generator, it's best to stagger the starting of appliances. Turn on one appliance and wait a few minutes before turning on another. Another important consideration is the type of wiring used to connect the generator to the house. Use appropriately sized wiring that is rated for the amperage that the generator will be supplying. Using undersized wiring can cause the wires to overheat and potentially start a fire. Consult a qualified electrician to determine the appropriate size wiring for your application. It is also important to use weatherproof wiring and connectors if the generator will be located outdoors. and make sure the connections are tight and secure to prevent arcing and overheating. In addition to the electrical considerations, there are also some safety precautions to keep in mind when using a generator. Never operate a generator indoors or in an enclosed space. Generators produce carbon monoxide, which is a deadly gas. Make sure the generator is located in a well-ventilated area, away from doors and windows. Install carbon monoxide detectors in your home to provide an early warning of carbon monoxide buildup. Always allow the generator to cool down completely before refueling it. Gasoline is highly flammable, and spilling gasoline on a hot generator can cause a fire. Keep a fire extinguisher nearby in case of a fire. Never attempt to repair a generator yourself. If the generator needs repair, take it to a qualified service technician. Working on a generator can be dangerous, and improper repairs can create a safety hazard. Regularly inspect the generator for any signs of damage or wear. Check the fuel lines, electrical connections, and exhaust system for leaks or cracks. Replace any damaged parts immediately. Following these safety precautions will help to ensure that you can safely and reliably use a generator to provide backup power to your home during a power outage. A summary of the process for connecting a Honda EU2000 generator for backup power is: firstly, use a double-pole double-throw safety switch to isolate the generator from the grid. Secondly, turn off all two-pole breakers in the house panel and minimize the load by turning off all other breakers except for essential lighting circuits. Thirdly, connect the generator to the switch using appropriately sized wiring, connecting the power and neutral wires but leaving the ground wire disconnected. Fourthly, ground the generator itself to a grounding rod for safety. Fifthly, manage the load carefully to avoid overloading the generator, staggering the startup of appliances and avoiding high-power devices. Lastly, always follow all manufacturer's instructions and safety precautions, including operating the generator in a well-ventilated area and keeping a fire extinguisher nearby. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively use your Honda EU2000 generator to provide backup power to your home during power outages. It is always recommended to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about connecting a generator to your home electrical system. It is essential to understand that generators can be dangerous if not installed and operated correctly. The double-pole double-throw switch is not just a convenience, it is a safety device that protects you, your family, and utility workers. Always use a properly sized switch and follow all installation instructions carefully. When it comes to grounding, remember that the goal is to provide a path for fault current to flow in the event of a problem. Grounding the generator itself helps to protect against electrical shock if there is a fault within the generator. Managing the electrical load is crucial for the long-term health of your generator. Overloading the generator puts stress on the engine and electrical components, which can lead to premature failure. By carefully managing the load, you can extend the life of your generator and ensure that it is ready when you need it most. Always be aware of the power consumption of the appliances you are using. Check the appliance's label for the wattage rating. Add up the wattage of all the appliances you plan to use at the same time and make sure that the total wattage does not exceed the generator's capacity. It's also a good idea to have a margin of safety, so don't run the generator at its maximum capacity for extended periods of time. When refueling the generator, always turn it off and let it cool down completely. Gasoline is highly flammable, and spilling gasoline on a hot generator can be extremely dangerous. Store gasoline in an approved container and keep it away from the generator and other sources of ignition. Inspect the generator regularly for any signs of damage or wear. Check the fuel lines for leaks, the electrical connections for corrosion, and the exhaust system for cracks. Replace any damaged parts immediately. A well-maintained generator is a safe and reliable generator. Finally, remember that generators are not a substitute for a properly designed and installed electrical system. If you are planning to use a generator as your primary source of power, you should consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that your electrical system is adequate and safe. Generators are a valuable tool for providing backup power during emergencies, but they should be used with caution and respect. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively use a generator to protect your home and family during a power outage. Furthermore, considering the Honda EU2000's inverter technology, it provides a stable and clean power output, making it suitable for sensitive electronic devices. However, even with inverter generators, it's important to protect sensitive electronics from power surges. Surge protectors can help to protect against voltage spikes that can damage electronic equipment. Plug sensitive electronics into surge protectors before connecting them to the generator. When using extension cords with the generator, use heavy-duty extension cords that are rated for outdoor use. Avoid using long extension cords, as they can reduce the voltage delivered to the appliance. Make sure the extension cords are in good condition and free from damage. Never run extension cords through doorways or windows, as this can damage the cords and create a safety hazard. Always disconnect the generator from the house before restoring power from the utility company. This will prevent the generator from backfeeding into the grid when the power comes back on. Wait a few minutes after the power comes back on before reconnecting the house to the grid. This will allow the utility company to stabilize the voltage and prevent any surges from damaging your appliances. After using the generator, store it in a dry and secure location. Drain the fuel tank before storing the generator for an extended period of time. This will prevent the fuel from deteriorating and clogging the carburetor. Clean the generator and inspect it for any damage before storing it. A well-maintained generator will be ready when you need it most. In addition to the safety precautions, it's also important to consider the environmental impact of using a generator. Generators produce emissions which can contribute to air pollution. Use the generator only when necessary and for the shortest amount of time possible. Consider using alternative sources of power, such as solar panels or battery backup systems, to reduce your reliance on generators. Dispose of used oil and filters properly. Do not dump used oil down the drain or into the ground. Recycle used oil and filters at a local recycling center. Be considerate of your neighbors when using a generator. Generators can be noisy, so try to minimize the noise level as much as possible. Place the generator away from your neighbor's property and avoid running it late at night or early in the morning. By following these guidelines, you can safely and responsibly use the generator to provide backup power to your home during a power outage, while also minimizing the environmental impact and being considerate of your neighbors. Remember, always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns.